Right now, Pokemon booster boxes are the area we all need to be looking into. Pokemon booster boxes are interesting because they've gone through a bit of a weird journey, okay? Because some people have said, hey, the booster boxes are gonna be one day a thing of the past. And now we do see it, like so many ancillary products and collection boxes and products where we don't actually get 36 packs inside. And when you think of a booster box, it is a fantastic buy because you get 36 packs to open. And then when you buy something like, whether it's a V collection box or even an ETB, you don't get that many booster packs inside. And then you can sometimes say, hey, is it worth the money? Because I know, like for me, sometimes I'll like look at like an ETB or a collection box that I bought and I think, oh yeah, I got like 8 booster packs inside, but I paid this much money. How much am I actually paying for each booster pack? And that's why I think booster boxes are one of the most interesting parts of the whole collecting space, especially for Pokemon. And in this video, I want to speak about booster boxes and look at the market and kind of decide which booster boxes right now are in a good position, or if you were considering to buy a booster box, which ones are in interesting positions to buy. Because there is 2 ways to look at purchasing a booster box. There is for your sealed collection, or if you want to look at it as an investment in terms of a long-term overview. And there's also the mindset to look at it like, hey, maybe this is a set worth opening. All right, let's get into it. We're talking about perfect order booster boxes to kick the video off, to kick the first one off. It is perfect order, and we can see it right now, there you go, selling for 170 US. I'm gonna pull that into the 3-month chart so we can actually see what is happening with perfect order. And like I said, top of the market in the last 3 months was 223. Right now selling for, there you go, 170. 170 bucks, dude. If you had the itch to open Pokemon products, you know, I'm hearing a lot of people like, oh, I can't open any packs. Man, there you go. Perfect order. If you want to open a set and have some fun, go for it. Now, some people might say, oh, perfect order's trash, right? That's a lot of people say that. I personally am not on that opinion. I actually think perfect order is pretty cool. When you look at the library of illustration rares, that Clefairy alone is like S tier. You then have some really unique SIRs. For example, the Meowth Special Illustration Rare. I purchased that Meowth because I loved it. I think it's a really cool card. The Rowlet Illustration Rare from Perfect Order. I think it looks really cute as well. It's actually a pretty unique set. And if you did want to master set something and you did want to have that feeling of checking off something and completing a master set, to me, man, Perfect Order is a great product for that, to be honest. Like earlier this year, I actually did a master set of Dragon Ball Ultra Limit. Now, I wanted to do, with my daughter, she was like, Dad, I really want to do a master set of some cards. And I looked at Dragon Ball Fusion World products and I was looking at all how expensive everything was like. And I was like, you know what, Aurora? All right, we can do it. I'm going to do Ultra Limit. It was the cheapest booster box on the market. And I decided to open that one with my daughter. And guess what? It was probably the most fun we've ever had. Real talk. Like that was one of out of all of my opening experiences, doing that was so fun. And the best part was it was cheap as well. It was actually, cheap in terms of the relative market. It was the cheapest booster box for Fusion World. Perfect Order is kind of that same vibe, man. You have probably one of the cheapest booster boxes on the market to open a set. And also, potentially it might go down, but if you want to have some fun, Perfect Order right now, I'd be looking like a fun set to open. But again, sometimes these sets that are really fun to open and everyone just doesn't care about them. Oh yeah, just rip that set. Well, guess what? 2-3 years later down the line, how many people were really holding onto it sealed? That also is a bit of a thing that can happen too. All right, moving on to the next one on this list. It is Chaos Rising. Now, there has been, which I'll talk about Pitch Black right after this, but there's been 3 sets this year that a lot of people have found lackluster. And that is Pitch Black, Perfect Order, and Chaos Rising. These 3 sets have just had, if I'm gonna be polite, I'm gonna be polite. Lukewarm reception. I'm not gonna say the other thing, but that is the reception that it's been with these 3 sets. Do I think it's fair and justified? No, I don't. I actually think Perfect Order, like I just mentioned before, has some incredible illustration rares. I think it's a really fun set to open. I also think with Chaos Rising, come on, man, the Mega Floette is a pretty sick card. Mega Greninja, Mega Dragalge. You do have some cool cards. I just think, especially some cool illustration rares here too, I just think what people want now is they want those massive hitters. They want the Salamence, they want the Garchomp SIRs, they want the Dragonites. And then when a set like Ascended Heroes comes that ticks so many of those boxes, where you've got a Mega Feraligatr, where you've got the Meganium, where you've got a Metagross, where you've got a Pikachu, a Gengar, Mewtwo, geez, I mean, this is all off the top of my head, by the way. You can see how many people just look at Ascended Heroes, and then when they look at something like Chaos Rising, well, guess what? That thing of comparison jumps in. You're like, oh, I'm looking at Chaos Rising, 1 Greninja, but Ascended Heroes, I had so many more Pokemon that I could have collected. So that is something to consider. Right now, Chaos Rising is selling for $183. I think in terms of a long-term overview, right now it could get a little bit more cheaper. We are in that summer period. It is something to consider, but also when you're looking at something like this, think of the long-term prospect. I think with Chaos Rising, this is a set that is, to me, a fun set to open right now. So if you want my opinion of the booster box at the moment, this is a booster box that you definitely open and have a bit of fun with. Also, for some fun news, I will be actually going live on Whatnot and giving away packs of Perfect Order and Chaos Rising on my upcoming stream. Now, today's video is sponsored by Whatnot, and if you've never used Whatnot before, it is a live shopping platform, and I'll give you a tour of it right now. All right, and as you can see, I'm on Whatnot right now, and here you can see all the live streams happening. So here I've just entered a stream with a pretty big card, a PSA 10 Mega Dragonite, the Japanese SAR. A lot of streamers do actually start their streams with $1 singles. Here we go, we can see the Wattrel Art Rare, which is awesome little card as well. And there you go, 3 AUD for that one, currently on bid, and that one sold for 3 AUD. Here we go, we got the Larvitar Art Rare, but that Art Rare currently just went for, there you go, 8 AUD, which is not too bad. But I actually love using Whatnot as a regular marketplace as well. So here I'm just searching for sealed pitch black products as well, and I can buy them as well, just straight up like a regular marketplace. I can see there, if I was happy with that, I can buy it now, and also I can make an offer, again, minus 20%, minus 15, or I can even do a custom offer as well. Honestly, jump in my upcoming stream, you can just participate in the giveaways, and what's really cool, if you are a first timer, I do have a $15 credit for you to spend on the platform. Just head to the link in the description or scan the QR code appearing on screen right now. A big thanks to Whatnot supporting the channel. Let's get back to the video. Moving on to the next one out of these lukewarm reception sets. It is Pitch Black, though I'm telling you, man, there may be a change in perception, okay? Right now, Pitch Black doesn't seem like no one wants it. Really, Chaos Rising, Perfect Order, but when that tide changes, man, it can change pretty quickly. Fusion Strike was a set no one wanted. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I'm not trying to sound, oh, no, dude, Fusion Strike in 2024, I could have bought that for like 130 USD. It was so available. It was always, it was a cheap set. I'm gonna say it was a cheap set. So that can happen depending on if, and it's crazy to think because I had a Gengar SIR, an Espeon SIR, Mew SIR. It was stacked. It was stacked, and it was crazy to see looking back now that Fusion Strike wasn't that highly regarded when it released. Anyway, Pitch Black was selling. There was a market high for $292. Right now, selling for $180. I think for $180 to have a bit of fun with the set. It is a fresh new set. You do have the Mega Darkrai Special Illustration Rare, illustrated by Akira Ogawa, which has tanked, by the way. That set has, that Mega Darkrai has dropped like a sack of potatoes. Bam, done. Like it's been brutal. So yeah, no, for Pitch Black, again, this is a set that I would consider if you want to have fun and open one. This is the set that I'd be looking at to have a bit of fun with. So moving on to a set that I think is one that I would be looking at, but definitely not for opening, but one for a bit of future potential. It is Chillin' Reign. Right now, Chillin' Reign is selling for 500 USD. This released now 5 years ago, released in June of 2021. Really cool library of Pokemon cards in there. Blaziken VMAX, one of my faves. You got the Golden Snorlax, again, was one of the top chase cards of the Sword and Shield era, or like in the top 5 top chase cards when it released. Yeah, crazy to think that. This I think is a pretty cool pickup, to be honest, because it's old, okay? So when you buy something like Chillin' Reign at an older set like this for 500 for an investment, I would be looking at that like, hey, sure, I'm not gonna be opening this set, but there could be some long-term kind of future potential here, especially as the era goes on. When Winds and Waves happens, everyone's gonna be like, these things just move forward, okay? You saw in the previous video, if you did watch one of my videos, I spoke about the split market where Hypermodern is dropping. Previous generations of Sword and Shield and stuff, they're actually climbing up a little bit, okay? As the eras go on, people are gonna return to Sword and Shield. They're gonna return to Scarlet and Violet. Winds and Waves is coming next year. This is not getting any younger. And also another thing to consider as well, when a set like Chillin' Reign is completely out of print, every day, every week, every month, every year, there is just less and less sealed Chillin' Reign or sealed battle styles or sealed Fusion Strike in the market. They keep getting opened. There's rip and ships happening. There's people wanting to sell it. It's a different landscape right now. 5 years ago, people didn't open products online and where you could sell products online and have that. Now there's so much community engagement with opening products. People love seeing older sets opened as well. Like when someone says, hey, I'm gonna open a Chillin' Reign booster pack versus, hey, I'm gonna open a Phantasmal Flames, most people would be like, hey, you know what? I'd actually rather see what's the Chillin' Reign. Even look, you know what's crazy? When you look at an older set be opened as well, it's actually more interesting because you're seeing like even the commons and the reverse holos. They're like, wow, this is cool. It's from a different era. It's exciting. So that is something to consider with all older sets. Now, moving on, it's not a booster box, but I do want to talk about Ascended Heroes, currently selling in the market for 165. I think Ascended Heroes has never had a time in the market where it's been affordable. It has never had a time where it's a good deal. It has been a set that it's always like, should I buy it? Ascended Heroes just consistently has been a set that you buy it and it's always kind of like, it's always been like that. Okay, there's been a point where it's selling for 105 for a small amount of time in March. Right now selling for 160, but even back then, I remember speaking about it, I used to think, oh man, 105 for one ETB, that's so much, okay? So like I said, Ascended Heroes has never had that cheap or accessible energy around it. It's always been a premium set. In terms for 160, I think Ascended Heroes, again, this is all my opinion, I personally don't really like opening Ascended Heroes for my own collection. I think it's really hard to pull anything. I do think the fact that it has illustration rares is a much bigger plus than Prismatic, but I also think when you're working with something like Ascended Heroes, you do need to be realistic about how difficult it is. I think Ascended Heroes is a set that I personally would be keeping sealed for my collection in that kind of regard. It is just a very, very difficult set to pull anything magical out of it. The big thing about Ascended Heroes is the fact that you have certain cards that if you pull, you literally 10 times your money, which is kind of insane to think about. That's ridiculous. Like the Pikachu, the Mega Dragonite, the Mega Gengar especially, okay? That one is like close to 10xing your money, which is a bit of a dangerous set. I don't like Ascended Heroes for that reason. You've also got the chance to pull a God Pack, which, geez, if you had a Mega Dragonite, Mega Gengar, and Pikachu in the God Pack, which is possible, who knows what, you probably did even more than 10x, right? So that is a bit of a scary thing about this set, why I don't like it. I think it can pull people that just want to open it heaps and heaps. Now, moving on to Phantasmal Flames. Right now in the market, Phantasmal Flames selling for 392. Definitely expensive booster box for what you can pull. I personally don't rate Phantasmal Flames that much. I never have. A lot of people got upset with me when I said that. I thought it was a bit of a one-trick pony, which the Charizard. That's it. It's pull Charizard or essentially bust, or you can pull the Mega Hyper Rare. But that's what it felt like. It's like if you get the Charizard, well done. You've got a really good. You've done well with Phantasmal Flames. One cool thing about it though, even though it does have that Charizard, the pull rates from Phantasmal Flames are pretty friendly. For that reason, there is a bit of a cool thing about it there that you're not like dealing with Ascended Heroes pull rates. But for my personal opinion, I think Phantasmal Flames is one that if you want to open it, I wouldn't bother. If you want to kind of keep it in your collection to keep sealed, it's still pretty expensive. It's kind of like Phantasmal Flames is a weird one for me. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan, like I said, of the set. And in terms of even a long-term hold, you still need to fork out 400 US to get some skin in the game. And another thing about Phantasmal Flames, and the reason why it's a bit different to Chilling Reign when you spend that money, Phantasmal Flames is not out of print. This is really important to understand. A set that is out of print has a little bit less of that because it's completely gone. Like Phantasmal Flames, we just had that Destined Rivals reprint and the crazy things there. This is kind of similar in that regard as well. Like there could be a big reprint to keep tanking it further. Also, by the way, if you have been enjoying the video, my name's Phil. Honestly, I love creating content around Pokemon cards and collectibles. I'd love to have you subscribe so you can stay in the loop for all things Pokemon. Now, moving on to the next. It is Destined Rivals booster boxes. All right, check this. Man, this is wild. Selling for $650. Right now selling for $400. Now, in terms of is it a good buy, it is likely that it can keep going down. It is, again, with Destined Rivals, Phantasmal Flames, these are just hard ones for me at the moment to look at. I think Destined Rivals has a lot going for it. I think it's pretty much the Evolving Skies of Generation 9. When I say that, what I mean is it's the best main line set of Generation 9 that has a booster box. Same thing with Evolving Skies is that for Generation 8. So there is definitely potential for this to become a behemoth of a product one day, just like Cosmic Eclipse, just like Evolving Skies. But also you have to consider that the hobby right now is going through a strange period because the 30th celebration is almost this climax of how many people have entered the hobby and all this happening. Will that continue over the long term? Will things change in a few years from now? Will the 30th celebration be the point where the hobby reaches a peak and then it slowly kind of washes away all the people that came in for the trends? None of us have those answers. That's why this time is a bit more of a dangerous time than I would say even 2021 when the whole Charizard boom happened, the whole initial boom that happened in 2021 and 2020. That was a little bit like, oh, what's to be expected? Because we did have the 30th celebration. I don't think a 35th celebration is going to be that strong. The only thing that could really pull it in is if Pokemon Wins and Waves gets a new audience, more people get into it, more collectibles keep growing. So yeah, I would just take a bit more of a pragmatic approach when looking at something like Destined Rivals. But then again, I don't own much Destined Rivals. I have one booster box of it. That's it. I've just, like, if you watch the channel, you would have known. when I bought Destined Rivals, I was moving homes at the time. It was a hard time. I was like, oh, I could have bought like 2 booster boxes for retail price, but at that time, I just wasn't in the position to do that, so I never bothered with it. And still, like looking at that 400, it might boom up, it might go down. This hobby is crazy in that kind of regard. Though in saying that, when considering buying booster boxes, one thing I think a lot of people are wondering right now is it right now a buyer's market? Well, I actually answer that in this video on screen here. In this video that's appearing on screen, I go into the question of, hey, are we in a buyer's market right now? If you enjoyed this video, click the video that's appearing on screen. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.